Okay, so we are in Netsuite. There is a full video, it's about 20 minutes from K-12 also on the site that gives a full, complete overview of creating and submitting expense reports. I wanted to focus on an expense report just for something such as state testing, a state testing expense. So when you put in your expense report, for the purpose, I put Keystone Testing travel expenses. It could also be PSSA, etc. You would put in the date. Let me just pick a date. State testing is, the window is in the Keystone window, is May 16th. So let me go and say I traveled on the 16th. So my first thing that I might want to fill in would be for my mileage. So let me go down to travel, mileage, my description, and then I would put whatever my testing site was. So say I was put in Allentown, mileage to Allentown testing site. Now the amount, how do I figure out the amount? Well, I always just Google the IRS reimbursable amount because that's what we're allowed. I believe it was 56 cents per mile for 2021, and I think it goes up to 58.5, 58 and a half. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and find a map that shows how far my house is from Allentown. So I could just go ahead and go to Google Maps. I'm going to search for wherever my testing site was. So I'm just going to put it in general. So say I went to Allentown and I live in Westchester. So I could put my exact address. Obviously, I would put my exact address and the exact address of where I went in Allentown. And then this is where I can grab the mileage. Like most often, I'm going to take the toll route because that's the fastest route. So that's okay. So you would select this. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to take a snip of this section right here to show the mileage. So I would go ahead and take a snip of this and grab it here. It's 70.9 miles. So I'm going to save this as Allentown mileage. And I'm going to save it to my desktop for later, and you'll see where we attach it. Then I'm going to go back to my expense report. Okay, so now I'm ready to go back, and I've entered that 41.48 for the amount. To find the amount, remember I took the number of miles and multiplied that by 0.585 since it's 58.5 per mile. I clicked yes for a receipt, and now I'm going to attach that file here. This box pops up. I'm going to choose the file. I put it on my desktop and I put it under Allentown mileage. So I attach it there, click save, and you will see it shows up right here. So that's the snip I took of Allentown mileage. That shows that I traveled that number of miles, and then this is the amount that I should be reimbursed for. When I get to the suite key, I can go ahead and if I am a teacher, I'm going to go down to teacher, and I'm going to look for teacher travel. If I am in 9 to 12, I could select here. If I'm middle school, I could select here. K-5 elementary here, and so on. So I can select travel here. And then the rest of the things that I need to put will go ahead and populate, and I am ready to go to the next line. When I'm ready to go to the next line, I can click add. It thinks for just a moment, so don't keep clicking because I have done that a few times. And then once you're ready to insert another row, you can click insert. So we did put in our mileage, but we may need to enter a line for tolls. We may need to enter a line for food and so on. All of those work the same way, except of course, instead of travel mileage, you would put in travel general. For the tolls, put in your toll amount, receipt, and then attach a snip of your Easy Pass or of the toll receipt. If you are going to put in meals, then again, you'd need to make sure you attach a file with your receipt for the meals. Make sure that there's no alcohol in the bill and make sure it is itemized. They will reimburse up to the acceptable amount for each meal, so you can check that in the handbook. For the suite keys, of course, those would change a little bit depending on if you are in a different school, grade band, or things like that, but most of those would be the same. And then that is pretty much it. So attaching files and suite key amount and things like that, those are the most important items. A lot of the other things, once you select the suite key, you can see that's the only required thing here. Once you select that, it does fill out the rest of the things as they need to be. When you get to the fiscal year, go ahead and scroll down to 2022, fiscal year 2022. All right, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Hopefully this gives you a good idea. Remember, once you get to this point, after you've added this item, you can click OK. You can make a copy of it and then just change the details. You can insert a new row or you can remove it at any time. One last thing I wanted to note about these expense reports, you can save it and save in new. So once you click Save and New, it will say you'll have a chance to review it before you submit it. You will want to do that, obviously, and then before you submit it, you can review it. You can also leave it there. If you have started one and maybe you need to find a receipt for something, maybe you need to find a SNP or you need to teach a class or something like that, and you want to come back to it later, you can certainly do that. It will say pending, but that doesn't mean it's actually sent. It won't be sent to the person to approve until you actually submit it, and it will give you that chance here. Let me show you what that looks like in case you're ever wondering. So I'm going to click Save and Save in New. That's my notice that it'll let me look at it before I send it. Give it a moment to think. And then once I have decided that I'm ready, I can go ahead and actually submit it. It'll give me a place to actually submit it. So all of those are different things that you might want to do in an expense report. Let me know if you have any questions.